How y'all doing? This is Mongo Slade, and today we're going to talk about football players in the wrestling business and why people don't seem to like them so much. But first, let's hit the like button for me. I appreciate that. Also, hit subscribe unless you're already subscribed, in which case, thank you for being subscribed, and share this video. Talk to other people about it if you are so inclined. So, what took place? What brought this video upon me? So I heard about some independent wrestler that was getting signed. I don't think his name is Alex Zane. I don't really know who he is because I don't follow the indies that closely. Apparently he's gonna go to the WWE Performance Center along with just people who have been said is going to be in this class. It's going to be Ben Carter with the Rascals, who are the three skinny kids from Impact. All of these guys are supposed to be in the next Performance Center class. It's not None of this is guaranteed, but it's all just stuff that's being thrown around in the air. So upon the announcement, I didn't know who this guy was, so I went to click on a site to see, who is this person. And I see in the comment section, people are like, oh, he's, the obvious 4chan troll, and he signed the Mark contract, which is hilarious that people say that. But the next thing that I saw was like, oh, he's going to go to the Performance Center and rot and sit behind football players. And this was sort of a well-liked comment, And I was like, where'd that come from? That came out of nowhere. Like, is WWE signing football players? And I didn't see any football players that's supposed to be in this Performance Center class. I'm like, what's going on? And I stumbled across in looking at this stuff, I stumbled across some quotes from Darby Allin. Now, a little aside, I started this channel in, I think, January of 2020. But the comments that I'm about to read from Darby Allin are from October 2019. So this was before my channel was made. And I see now what's going on with football players and why I'm not surprised AEW fans seem to have problems with football players. So this is a shame that forever in wrestling, the ones that are considered too small had a hard time breaking out. Pro wrestling is art, and my art will be seen. Not sitting in line, having a brainless football player take my canvas. The fans want it. And I was like, what? What I? And then the next day, after this made the rounds, I guess, he decided to quote unquote clarify. He said, let me be clear. I don't dislike football players that have a passion for wrestling. I dislike jocks that have zero creativity and only do this because someone said you can jump all the small bastards in line to the top. So I wanted to know, where did all this vitriol for football players and all this anger come from? So I dig a little bit deeper, and I see that he was signed to Evolve, or he was wrestling in Evolve. And of course, Evolve was a WWE subsidiary, and he was offered a WWE tryout, and he turned it down because he says, well, you guys should know whether I'm good or not already. And I know you're just going to put me on 205 Live anyway. He basically had a Napoleon complex. He's a short fucker, a latchkey kid, who has a problem with football players being in wrestling. Okay? Just because he's short and thin, he has to dislike people who are more physically imposing. Right? So, for those of you who don't know what the Napoleon complex is, the Napoleon complex is a theorized inferiority complex normally attributed to people of short stature. It is characterized by overly aggressive or domineering social behavior, such as lying about earnings and carrying the implication that such behavior is compensatory for the subject's physical or social shortcomings. In other words, this short bastard spent all his time in Evolve, where he was working. He got a chance at a tryout. He turned it down because he doesn't feel like he should have to try out because he's an artiste. And, they're just going to sign all the football players and rush those guys to the top anyway. And it's like, bro, this battle has already been won. Like, it's crazy. Like, in wrestling, the guys keep getting smaller. Like, they keep getting smaller and smaller. I think I've had this thing before where where I said Sean and Brett, who are solidly 6 feet, probably 6 feet 6'1", maybe even 5'11" or something like that. They used to get called too small by the dinosaurs of their era. The Jake Roberts and the Paul Orndorffs and all those guys. They would say they're too small. But then when you see guys like Jericho, Benoit, Eddie, even Kurt Angle to a degree, they're even smaller than Sean and Brett. And now these people are even smaller than Jericho and Eddie Guerrero. Like, these guys are not even cruiserweights. It is a stretch to call them cruiserweights. They are technically, basically, straw weights, flyweights. These dudes are barely 100 pounds. Of course, you're not going to be taken seriously in a fight with a full-grown man. It makes sense. But this whole beef with football players, right? It seems to make it's a silly thing, considering football players helped to build the wrestling business. And if these people actually knew their history, then they wouldn't make stupid comments like this. Now, Darby Allin, I'm gonna push him to the side. I'm gonna focus on the typical wrestling fan, because a lot of these typical wrestling fans, they're hardcore marks for people like Meltzer and all these guys who are supposedly historians. So why don't they understand that football players had a huge hand in making pro wrestling really big? One such guy was named Gus Sonnenberg. So Gus Sonnenberg was a former NWA and AWA World Heavyweight Champion. And this was in the 1920s. In 1929, January the 4th, 1929, Gus Sonnenberg won I believe it was the NWA World Heavyweight Championship. And then he was made the AWA World Heavyweight Champion. So Sonnenberg won the title from Strangler Lewis. And he ended up being a huge box office draw, especially in the Northeast area. And this was in the 1920s, so this was prior to Buddy Rogers and all these types of people. This is back when people used to think wrestling was mostly real. So I'm going to read a little bit passage from Tim Hornbaker's book on the NWA. So he says, Gus Sonnenberg first achieved fame. No, this is from Ringside. So it says, Gus Sonnenberg first achieved fame as a member of the Dartmouth football team. Because of his superior physical skills and charisma, Sonnenberg succeeded in the role that the Gold Dust Trio attempted with Wayne Munn. The AWA champion helped forge a link between professional wrestling and the burgeoning national cult of college football, just as football's governing bodies made the sport more exciting by changing the rules. Sonnenberg adopted a ring style based on constant movement and flash. His lack of wrestling knowledge forced him to use this approach, but the liveliness of Sonnenberg's style thrilled fans, turning a necessity into a benefit. Sonnenberg also reinforced the connection between his two sports by adopting football techniques to the ring. For example, he frequently scored pinfalls by flattening his opponents with a flying tackle. His success led to a wave of former college football players flooding promotions across the country. For the promoters, the addition of clean-cut, college-educated athletes with pre-existing name recognition proved to be a gold mine they continue to excavate for the rest of the century. So Gus Sonnenberg was one of the first football players to become wrestler. He wasn't the only one, though. Just about everybody who got into the wrestling business at some point or another has some type of athletic background. The idea that wrestling is an art form for fucking theater students is a most recent concept. All these people who want to be actors and that type, your guys are actually the fucking aliens. Okay, it's not the jocks. The jocks been doing this. The jocks like Ernie Ladd. The jocks like Vader. The jocks like, Bill Goldberg. They've been doing this. Football players been able to jump off the couch, go train, and do this. And you want to know why football players work? Is because they have charisma. A lot of football players, because you play football with a helmet on, you emote physically. When you watch the NFL, right? You see a guy score a touchdown. He can't just, in the NBA, sometimes they make faces and things like that. But in the NFL, when you play football, it's like, yeah! You get to show, You know, like, yeah, you get to like see the muscles bulging in their arms and the energy in their neck and throat and stuff like that. The howling, you know, you get to see that. And then in wrestling, when they bring it to wrestling, they're not wearing the helmet anymore. You can see their face. You can feel the energy and the intensity radiating off of a football player. Not just, and you add the fact in that they're big. And if they're big and they're funny and they got, you know, some type of personality to them, oh, they're definitely going to be, you're definitely going to be mad. You're definitely going to be mad, small man. So what? So what? Football player jumped off the couch and took your spot. So what? Oh, you might be good, and Darby Allin is good. I'm not going to say he's not. But is he Roman Reigns good? No. Roman Reigns is a football player. I mean, The Rock was a football player. I mean, come on. There have been numerous high-level football players. And it seems to be that people think football players are like, I don't know what, who is like the worst football player turned wrestler? Maybe Steve Mongo McMichael, who won a Super Bowl, you know? But jocks are, see, the reason why people, and I heard Jim Ross talk about this, is that football players are usually recruited because they're easily coachable. You know, they're already athletic. So you already have to train. They already used to training, dieting, working out. They follow directions. They know how to follow directions. They have intensity and they have size. Everything else you can teach. You can teach them how to do a wrist lock, how to do a takedown, how to defend themselves in a real fight. But they have, through training, already have a lot of the work is already done. All right, it's the same thing when they take up college wrestlers. Like, a lot of the work is already done. You take athletes because they're already athletic. They're already well built. Okay? You just have to, you know, change some stuff. These people with this Napoleon complex that, you know, I shouldn't have to sit behind the football players, is like, well, you can't grow to their size. And no, that's not your fault. But how you look at your opportunities is your fault. And if you looked at being on 205 Live or something like that and saying, oh, I don't want to do that. I shouldn't have to try out. You should know whether I'm good or not. Like, that doesn't work. That doesn't work. Like, that doesn't work for me, man. That means you wanted to try to cut to the top. Because these guys are stepping into a whole new industry not knowing anything. And they're going to put forth the work. They're going to put forth the effort. And if they fail in front of people who actually care and actually are looking at them. Like, yeah, you could be, and this was a big problem with him too. Well, I was doing all this great stuff and nobody was paying attention. Nobody cares. Nobody was looking. You know, he wants to be in films and he wants to do all this other shit. So he doesn't really even care about wrestling. And this is direct quotes from Darby Allin that he basically said, I want to get out of wrestling as soon as possible. So how about you get the fuck out the way and let the football players do their thing? Because they have a future. And they are what the business was built on. The business is built on athletics. Not fucking theater students who want to be my art. I'm an artiste. You're not fucking Tom Cruise. You're a 5'5" fucking midget. Fuck off. All right, so let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Like this video, share this video, subscribe to the channel. Thank you guys for listening, and I'll talk to you guys later.